Morning. I've shared my testimony a lot of different places. Me and Randall talked about it. This is probably the hardest place to say it because I'm coming back home to people who've seen me since I was, little. May 1st of last year, I went into Miracle Lake, which is a Christian training center. And I know Randall read my letter to everybody, and he kind of explained a little bit of, what I was going through. For the last 10 years, I've struggled with addiction. I was bound up in addiction to drugs, alcohol, whatever, anything to change my mind. And, a lot of people say, well, aren't you ashamed of it or whatever? No, I'm not. God let me live through it to be able to tell somebody out there in the world, if there's one person here that needs to hear it, then I'm here to tell it. And I come this morning to share hope, not only for somebody that's in addiction, but for family members, for people that are around it, because it's worse on them most of the time than it is the actual person going through it. I was bound up, and it wasn't just the drugs. I've been, if a lot of you don't know, I've been to Cornerstone twice. I've been to Centerpoint. I've been to a lot of rehabs, and it took the drugs out of me, but there was a hole somewhere inside that I'd never filled back up with anything. I took the drugs out, took the alcohol out for a little while, but eventually if you don't fill it back up with anything, you're going to find something to try to fill that void up. And, I struggled with it, and I got to a point where it wasn't just the drugs anymore. It was my mindset of I'm useless, I'm worthless. What's the point? You get into a depressed state of mind where you don't have any hope. And there was a point where I didn't care if I woke up every morning. That was the goal every day. Was, what happens today doesn't matter because I don't even know if tomorrow's coming. And that's just the state of mind I was in. And it got to a point, I guess it was around March or April in 2017, where, my mom and dad made the toughest choice they had to make and cut it off. We're not going to sit and watch you slowly kill yourself. And that kind of hurt for a little while, but my numbness in my head just still didn't care. I went to jail. Some of you may not know. I got arrested, put in jail, and even that wasn't enough to push me over that edge. But, my grandmother sitting right back there came up and grabbed me by the face one day and said, I love you, and I know Luke's still in there somewhere, but I can't see him. And that, I didn't, react that much at the time, but that hit, a nerve. And it still took a little time for me to decide, okay, well, I'm going to do something different. And my mindset when I went to do it was, well, I'll have a roof over my head and 3 meals a day for a little while. I'm going to go ahead and try this Miracle Lake thing out. And I went down there just to show y'all a little bit of them. Until you've experienced the hand of God laid on you and a true miracle happen, it's hard to explain to somebody else what it's really like. But God showed me. And when I went in there, I don't want to get into gory details or anything, but the amount of pain medication, I was on some pretty bad stuff, but the amount of stuff I was on the day I went in, I was still using the day I went in there. And I've been through detoxes, and it takes anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 weeks to start feeling better, being able to sleep, being able to be motivated to get up. And I went in there with that knowledge of I'm fixing to walk through a buzzsaw. I prayed, God, if you're still with me, help me, through this, because I'm going to try. And the third day I was there, I hit my knees in the chapel at Miracle Lake and got born again right there. And that Friday morning I woke up and I slept that night for about 8 hours. Woke up the next morning and I've never felt the same since. I was changed in the flash of an eye. There's no limits to God's grace and what He'll do for you. But He has to know He knows a man's heart. And if it's in your heart that you want to fight for it, that you want something different, God's going to answer that. And, within 3 days, everything that I was on was gone. And I had a new mindset. I was seeking then, well, what's my purpose now? What's my drive? Everybody's purpose is to share the gospel and to share, the grace of God that He can put on anybody. Nobody's outside of God's reach. If anybody was even close, I told my grandmother back there when she said, this is faith-based, I think it'd be perfect for you. And I told her, it's too late for that for me. I'm well past any of that. And she just kind of shook her head and was like, no, you're not. But I understand that now. During all that, in my worst times, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you today if God wasn't walking there right beside me. Because there's a lot of times He was carrying me. And I didn't even realize it. And since leaving there, me and Randall talked about this too. When, you go through something like that, to come back home and share with people. Those people have seen you grow up. They know you. They saw you in your bad times. I'm sure there's a lot of you in here that saw me sitting back there in that pew nodding out. And I'm not ashamed of that. You can see me now. You know where I was. But it takes some time for everybody to trust and me to get built up a little bit in what I'm doing, to walk my walk out. And when I left from Miracle Lake, I went to Graduate Hall in Madisonville, which is transitional. And to tell you a little bit about that little story, that Sunday night, they approached me about transitional, and I said, that's just not for me. I'll have somewhere to go. I'll have somewhere to stay. I don't necessarily need that. Well, after all that was just taken from me, I felt like I knew human stuff. I said, okay, God, if that's something you want me to have, then you're going to have to show me another sign. Show me one more time. That's what I need to do. That Monday morning, I got a letter from my Nana sitting back there that said, if you want to go to the transitional, we'll pay for your first 2 months there. And I just put the letter down, went to Byron Goodman's, and I'm coming. And God showing me that sign and everything while I was there. I've got a great job now at Yamaha. Got that within 3 months of being at Graduate Hall. I did a little construction work in between. Choosing to stay down there has introduced me to a woman I'm going to get married to very soon. And I don't have her kids with me here this weekend. They're with grandparents. But I had said a prayer at Graduate Hall that, I hadn't had any kind of relationship, nothing even close to that. I've always been good with kids and stuff. So God, if that's just something I need to do is, be there for my niece and nephew sitting back there, just to be me, then I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it. Well, the next week I walked into Amanda, and she had those 2 kids, and that's kind of like God saying, you think you know what my plans are for you. We don't. We don't know until we decide to walk in that faith what God has for us. None of us can imagine what God has in store for us. None of us. The plans He has for us are way greater than even we can imagine. All we can imagine is earthly things. What we can enjoy here. But His plans for us are much greater. And I tell everybody too, a lot of people look at it like, well, it's easy for you. It's been easy. There's been no part of me leaving there easy. But I wake up every morning, and before my feet hit the floor, I choose that I'm still going to be different today. No matter how bad it gets, no matter how rough the day is, no matter what comes, it's going to get better. It may be bad for a few hours, a day, 2 days even. But that's when you've got to keep your head down, and not in a bad way, but pray through it. God's going to carry. If He carried me through the years of addiction, then He's going to carry me through a few bad days of arguments, of, having to pay I got a $408 utility bill, last week that had to be paid. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, how in the world am I even going to do this? And I reminded myself, God's going to make a way. Well, it ended up, my papa knows the people at the utilities, and they worked it out where I could pay half of it and then pay the rest of it over the next couple of weeks. So that was solved. And before that, I would have been in a mad rush trying to figure out something, try to figure out where I'm going to get this money. Oh gosh, it's all coming to an end now. Get in that mindset. And that's just, when you get truly saved and the Spirit comes on to a man, you have a full change of mind. And it's a calm and a peace that I can't share with anybody other than my walk every day. But until you've experienced that, it's hard to explain it. But what I wanted to share about hope for not just people in addiction, but family members and stuff, there is hope out there. And it's Jesus Christ is the only way. Some people can do it going to a Cornerstone or something like that, but they've already got their mind made up, and there's something in them that's already started that way. But when you're so deep in, I truly believe, they say once an addict, always an addict. I'm no longer an addict. I was changed on May 4th, 2017 into a new person. And I am no longer an addict. I'm no longer going to allow myself to get depressed. Everybody went into a panic when me and Amanda first started dating. She decided it was too much for her all at once. She needed to pull back and broke up with me. And yeah, it was hard. I was like, oh, here it comes again. But I talked to Mom, my sister. I talked to Byron at Miracle Lake. I talked to all of them and talked through it, prayed through it. And I got myself to a state and said, well, if this is truly what you got laid out for me, God, then it's going to work. It's going to be fine. The more I try to do, the more I mess up. And I sat back and waited, and now we're getting married. But there was a few people that were in a little bit of a panic of, don't let this be a slip for you, whatever. But none of that's even, it's hard for me to explain that too, that I've never had the first temptation to want to drink, to want to use anything. Nothing that changes the state of mind I'm in right now, because on my worst day now is 10 times better than the best day I thought I was having out there in the world. And I still mess up every day. Every day I stumble. Every day I'm not perfect, but I try to be, and I know who to ask for forgiveness for now. If I do stumble, I'm going to continue to stumble my whole life, but I'm not going to allow that to be a fall. I'm not going to stumble till I fall. When I start stumbling, that's when I go ahead and hit my knees so you don't fall so far. Miracle Lake, I talk about it because that's the place that I went to find God, because He's always been with me. And a lot of people leave from Miracle Lake and they say, oh, Miracle Lake saved me. It saved my life. All this. No, Miracle Lake doesn't save people. Jesus does. But if you want to meet and have a true encounter with our Lord and Savior, Miracle Lake gives you the place to go for some peace and quiet. That scripture that says, be still and know that I'm God. Well, it's still enough down there at Miracle Lake and peaceful enough that you can hear that voice. You can get away from all the stuff of the world. You can get away from the voices. And I did a video. Some of you may want to watch it in the next few months. They did video documentaries at miraclelake.org. And I said at the end of it, you know, Miracle Lake helped save me. Jesus Christ is the one that saved my life. Miracle Lake just gave me the place and opportunity to meet him. And, you know, there's no better feeling than today. There's nothing I don't think I can walk through that God's not going to be right there with me. You know, and if I can be forgiven and given that grace, then anybody in this world can be given that grace. You know, I was a liar, a thief, everything in that book of laws that you're not supposed to do, you can pretty much check it off. And all that was wiped clean on May 4th, 2017. You know, I started another little short list like all of us do every day, but you wipe that clean every day and move on from it. Don't let it hold you down. You know, get up every morning with a drive. I'm going to be better today. I'm not going to be that person I was before. God took that from me. I'm not going to try to take it back from him. God's got a pretty strong hand, and when you try to take it back, he's going to hit you with the other one hard. And, you know, I just want to share that hope this morning that there is a way out for family members, for anybody sitting in here that could be struggling. And it's not just drugs. It's not just alcohol that holds people down. It's a state of mind people get in that, what is my purpose in life? What is my, you know, calling on any of this stuff? You know, what am I supposed to do? Get peace with God and he'll show you. It may not be in your time. It may not be when you want it to happen, but he's going to show you. You know, it's going to be shown, but you have to have it inside yourself to want to fight for it. As hard as people fight to stay in addiction, if they fought half as hard to try to get out of it, then this world would be in a lot better shape than it is. Because I know how hard I fought, how hard my mind had to work every day to try to stay in it. But you've got to have that fight within you. You've got to get your heart right. Then go to God. And say, God, I'm ready for a change. I'm ready for you to come into my life and do something different. Let's do this. And he'll know if you're true or not. He'll know if you're really wanting a change. And he'll move on you in ways you never know. Could be possible. You know, Revelations 12:11 says we're all saved by the blood of the Lamb and the truth of our testimony. That's how we overcome Satan's grasp he has on us, because Satan has no real power over us. We allow him to move us around. You know, we give Satan too much credit a lot of times, that he's doing this to me. No, he's just giving us the opportunity to choose to do it. You know, Satan has no dominion over us. You know, we have the one who has dominion over him inside of each and every one of us. Every day, we have that power. And the way we speak, stuff we speak in, oh gosh, I'm just, you know, terrible. I'm just, you know, I'm never going to get it. Keep speaking that and you're never going to get out of it. Start speaking, I'm going to be better. I'm going to be a different person. Speak that stuff into existence and you'll start living in it. I mean, that's just everything I've experienced, and I know for a fact that Satan is defeated in my life. And I just hope everybody in here can get a little bit of hope out of that and defeat him in your life. Believe it. Believe that God has control over your life. And you have the one that rules all inside of each and every one of you. Whether you've accepted him or not, yet he's inside of you. He's there waiting for you to make the decision. And I just want to tell everybody in here that the power of prayer, I believe, helped call on forces that helped keep me alive long enough to make that decision on my own. And things need to be told. I was never happier when Randall come and told me down there when he come and visited me that he had told everybody in here a little bit more what was going on with me. You know, so people could make direct prayers for what is going on with somebody. Because people are just making, you know, we'll pray for this person. I don't know what's going on with them. You know, God knows everything that's going on anyway, but you make direct prayers. Pray for this person. They're in addiction so bad it's about to kill them. It's about to kill their family. It's, you know, all that. You start praying directly for all that stuff, and you'll start seeing changes. You'll start seeing God move in that when a collective body starts to pray. Because I know everybody in here said countless prayers for me. I know that row back there said more prayers than, you know, I could ever imagine. And I believe that truly helped carry me to a point where I could make that decision on my own. You know, I allowed others to carry that burden for too long that it was time for me to pick it up. And when I picked it up, I directly handed it to Jesus, and his yoke's light and easy. And life is just so much better. And I appreciate Randall letting me get up here and share a little bit with you. I probably went a little bit more long-winded than you expected, but everybody knows me. He ain't took that out of me. I still like to talk. But I thank every one of you for your prayers, concerns, and I wanted to give you a little update of where I'm at. I'm doing great, and it's all by the grace of God. I can't say anything without giving God the glory first, because I really did nothing but surrender. I gave up, and that's something I never wanted to do in my life, is give up. I've always been small. I've always had a drive to, I'm not going to let that person tell me I can't do it. Well, I finally had to tell myself I can't do it. And I'm a different person. I'm still Luke that grew up here, but I'm more of that little person, like little Jake sitting back there. I'm more like him now. So I love each and every one of you, and I appreciate getting to speak to you.